Hi everyone, I'm Carlson. I graduated from Regina in 2016. Before I get into kind of my day in the life of being a grad student, I kind of just wanted to give you some background. So after I graduated from Regina, I went on to play softball at Siena Heights University. It's a little university in Adrian, Michigan. If you've never heard of it, if you've heard of Adrian College, that's about 5 minutes away across town. So we have two colleges in the same town, so that's kind of cool. Like I said, I played softball there for 4 years, and then in May I just graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. After I graduated, I knew I wanted to further my education and get my master's, so kind of how I went about that is I kind of shopped around, and then after talking with my advisors and my coach, I kind of fell into my situation that I am in now. I'm a graduate assistant for the softball team, so what that means is I am an assistant coach for the softball team while attending graduate school here. And kind of how that works is I'm an assistant. I do everything that the coach would do, except for instead of getting paid, I'm getting my tuition reimbursed. And that's something that's big for me because, as all of you know, college is expensive and I have my undergrad to pay for. So that's a really nice kind of incentive to take this path and to get that paid for. Kind of about the program that I'm in is I am in the clinical mental health counseling program at Siena Heights. It's a 3-year program, and at the end of it, I will have a LPC, and what that means is I will be a licensed professional counselor after taking the NCE, which is the National Counselor Exam. That's your typical boards exam. It goes by state, so if I got it in Michigan and I somehow moved somewhere else, I'd have to take it again there. So during that 3 years, I will have 2 internships that I will start next semester, so 1 semester and then 1 semester, and then also I will be starting my practicum. So what that means is I'm in the office with another counselor and with a real life patient, and I am practicing everything that I learned up until then in a real life situation, actually helping someone. So I think that's really cool that it's really hands-on and you get thrown into the field right away. So I really like that about this program when I was looking around. I think that's pretty typical for most of them, but I like that hands-on experience because then when I graduate, I won't be like, woo, what do I do? When it comes to after graduation, I have a few options that I'm thinking of. I obviously really enjoyed the one-on-one connection and going into something like private practice and the typical standard therapy, but there's also a lot that you can do with it. So there's a lot of advocating for the community. There's working in correctional facilities and different schools and hospitals and addiction services. And also a new thing that's happening that you're starting to see more is large corporations are actually having a psychologist in their office for their employees. And I think that's really cool. And that's something that I'm also looking into and that I've heard people have great experiences with. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet, but there's an abundance of things to do with this degree. Starting with the day in my life, I also work at the Hope Center of Adrian, and what that is a recreational facility for adults with disabilities. So basically what I do there is every hour on the hour, we are doing a different kind of program, whether it's an art activity, whether it's sports, whether we're out in the garden, we're going on a field trip, we're doing karaoke, we're going bowling, all the stuff like that. This place is really community driven. So it's all funded by the community. We're not getting state grants and stuff like that. It's a lot of local businesses always work with us. It gets those members out into the community and make them feel a part of something. And I think that's really cool. And some of these pictures I'll show you, these are some of the members and what they do. We have a basketball team. A lot of them are involved in Special Olympics where they go and compete in Mount Pleasant during this weekend. So that's really fun. Like I said, a lot of community stuff going on for them. It really makes them feel included. It's with people like themselves, and I love to be part of it. And kind of how I got into this, as we're looking at pictures, is that this was my internship for undergrad. So to graduate, I had to have an internship, and I decided to apply there, and I got the internship, and after that was over, I got hired. So I've been working there ever since my junior year of undergrad. So after I get done with Hope, I usually just get ready for class, and I thought I'd have my professor start talking a little bit about being a counselor and what that means from his perspective.
My name is Jim. I'm an adjunct professor of counseling and the clinical mental health counseling program at Siena Heights University in Adrian, Michigan. I've been a teacher there for about 17 years, and I've been a licensed professional counselor for 20 years. I've worked with people from all kinds of backgrounds, all different kinds of problems. Got my start working with people who came to counseling for help with addictions. But what you soon learn is that people with addictions are often treating their other mental illness with substances, which turns into an addiction. The two most prevalent mental illnesses in the United States that people experience are anxiety and depression. That's about 25% of the US population. Right now, given the state of the pandemic that we're in, it's upwards of 30%, so it's pretty significant. Counselors are people that you can go to talk to when you have problems in life. They can be specific kinds of problems like relationship problems or work problems. They could be severe mental illness problems like anxiety and depression, or things you may have heard of like obsessive compulsive disorder, phobias, trauma, PTSD, eating disorders. There's all kinds of behavioral and mental anguish that people are in. And when they need help, they can get help for that. Sometimes they'll go to their doctor and ask for a prescription to help with the low levels of the neurochemicals in their brain that can account for some levels of like anxiety and depression. But very often, those serve just as an adjunct to getting counseling, because counselors help you rearrange your values in your life and help everything get lined up more with who you are, so you can be congruent with how you need to live your life to be satisfied. We could probably all agree that if you are in a life that's full of habits that are bad for you and are meaningless to you, that no amount of prescription drugs is going to solve that for you. You're going to have to change your relationships, get into relationships that are meaningful to you, and get into life work that's purposeful and meaning to you in order to feel better about yourself. So to become a counselor, you have to go to graduate school. You have to get quite a bit of education to do that. You have to get an undergraduate degree first, which is what we call it when we're in graduate school, but that just means getting a bachelor's degree. Most people will get an undergraduate degree in something like psychology, although you don't have to get a degree in psychology. My undergraduate degree was in social science, so I studied sociology, anthropology, and psychology. Some people can even get, into graduate school with backgrounds in technical fields too. So we accept people into counseling programs who have a good fit for their purpose in life and their desire, what they want to do. They also have to have a skill set in being a good student, because graduate school is difficult. You have to be a good student because it requires a lot of learning. In order to become a counselor, you have to basically play catch up on 150 years worth of mental health practice. And you have to do that in about 2 to 3 years. So it's a pretty fast-paced program in order to get licensed to provide mental health services in the state of Michigan. But counselors make a huge difference in people's lives. Generally speaking, 80% of people who go to see a counselor, at the end of that experience, they report that they were helped by it. So by and large, you have really good outcomes for people who go to get counseling. That 20% bothers me, those people who didn't get help. And sometimes that's because they didn't get a good fit with the counselor, they didn't get a good match with their therapist, or maybe just, there were other variables going on in life that they couldn't continue on with counseling and they dropped out. That's a problem. But we deal with training our counselors on how to, manage all of that stuff as they go through our counseling training programs. So it's an extremely rewarding career. It's personally rewarding. I hate to kind of focus on this, but it can be very financially lucrative to do that. Any graduate degree will increase your earnings by 50% over a bachelor's degree, and that's definitely true of counseling. Counselors also get to kind of set their own schedule. Most of us won't work 40 hours a week. We'll probably work 25 to 30 hours a week, because seeing people one-on-one talking about emotional problems can be taxing. So we have to spend the rest of that time doing really good self-care, which means we need to pay attention to how we take care of ourselves, because we're the instrument of healing in counseling. We need to make sure we get good rest, nutrition, hydration, exercise. We need to make sure we have good, active, vital relationships that feed us and that we can help, be connected to. So it's a really rewarding career. It allows you to do a lot of different things. You can work in schools, you can work in community centers, you can work at colleges, you can work in private practice, you can work individually, you can work from home these days doing telecounseling over the computer. It's a great career, it's extremely rewarding, and if you want to know more, please research it. There's a lot to learn.
So then after my class, or if I don't have class that day, we typically are practicing now in the afternoon. So it could be 4 to 6, it could be 6 to 8, it could be 8 to 10, and even 10 to 12, which is kind of late, but you got to think all these teams are fitting into one building. We got to be flexible with our schedules, and that's kind of what college sports is about. You have to learn how to be flexible and roll with the punches. So kind of my duties as a graduate assistant is I am going to recruiting, so I'm going to like summer camps, and I'm going and looking at girls playing and stuff like that. I'm doing camps, so I'm doing teaching camps, and I also prepare. I'm in charge of the outfield, so I'm preparing like what we're gonna do at practice that day, what I think they can improve on, what I think we should do for that hour, and how I'm gonna make them better. And then I also, like, if recruits come in, we meet with them, we set up like how they're gonna be scheduled and get them with admissions and just kind of everything you'd think a coach would do. And I set up and put away and all this stuff like that. It's really fun. It keeps me involved. Like I said, I wasn't ready to walk away from the sport just yet, just because I couldn't play. I knew I still wanted to be involved. So I think it's a good way for me to stay involved. And as you can see, we're having practice tonight. We're just getting back into it, and we just have a little bit of hitting today. So that's my day in a nutshell. I know it seems like a lot. I'm pretty busy, but I would not trade it for the world. This situation that I'm in, I could not be more grateful. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And any advice that I would give to you guys, if you're looking to play a sport in college, if you're in band, if you're in theater and you can get a scholarship for that, find that place that's going to take you. There is a place for you somewhere, and don't ever think that there's not. You can do it if you want to. My biggest advice would be to work on your time management and your organization. It's a lot. As you can see, I have a very busy schedule, but it's not impossible. It's totally doable. It keeps you busy and it keeps you held accountable. Having that structure and being a part of something, whether it's a sorority or any clubs that you can get into, be a part of it, because those people are there to help you. It really is about who you know, and like I said, those people are there to help you. If you express what you want, they're gonna know somebody that can help you get there. Thanks everyone, bye.